When I'm out on a mountain hike, as I was here, I know exactly which camera I choose between the Insta360 Luna Ultra and the X6, and which of them is better suited to this purpose. But more on that later. The Insta360 X6 and the Luna Ultra are two very different cameras, and both have their own unique strengths. But since I know that many of you are interested in a direct comparison, I'd like to show you a few longer comparison clips today and highlight the strengths of both cameras. In fact, both cameras also have things in common. They're both well suited for vlogging and of course for family or vacation shots. And we'll see that they are also similarly priced. But let's first take a look at the key differences. After that, I'll show you several comparison shots so you can better decide for yourself which camera is the right choice for you. At the end, I'll tell you which camera I'd recommend to whom. The most important difference between the Luna Ultra and the X6 is, of course, that the Luna Ultra is a conventional camera that captures flat footage, while the X6 is a 360 camera. The X6 has a camera on each side with an extremely wide-angle lens. The footage from both cameras is then stitched together into a 360 image. This has several advantages. You can look around freely during playback, or you can choose the perfect framing in post and then export a regular flat clip. And as a 360 camera, the X6 has another interesting advantage. The selfie stick automatically disappears from the frame. Combined with the reframing feature, this allows for interesting and creative shots. Not only that, you take just one shot and get an endless number of angles to work with. The downside is that under normal circumstances, you still have to edit and reframe 360 shots. Insta360 has worked hard to minimize this drawback, and the X6 features several functions such as Auto Edit and the AI Director designed to handle the reframing for you. However, the fact remains that reframing is essentially a significant crop of the footage. As a result, the reframed footage isn't in 4K. The exported clip typically has a resolution of 2.7K. If needed, you can also use the X6 to capture flat 4K recordings with just one lens in single lens mode, which then doesn't require reframing. And it's precisely in this area that the X6 has made great progress. It's capable of capturing flat 4K footage at up to 120 frames per second. The Luna Ultra also has two cameras, one with a wide-angle lens and a large 1-inch sensor, and one with a zoom lens that has a focal length of 60mm. But what really sets the Luna Ultra apart is its gimbal. Both cameras are mounted on a physical gimbal, which offers several advantages. The recordings can be physically stabilized, so the camera doesn't have to rely on electronic stabilization. This enables particularly stable footage in low light or when using the optimal slow shutter speed, something that's difficult to achieve with electronic stabilization. There's another important advantage, which I'll demonstrate later. Of course, the gimbal also has a drawback. The Luna Ultra isn't an action camera and of course isn't waterproof. In contrast, the X6 is waterproof up to 20 meters without an additional case, has a rugged body that can be easily mounted anywhere, even on a helmet or chest mount, and the lenses can be replaced if needed. That means, just in terms of the body and features alone, the X6 has many advantages. The Luna Ultra's greatest strength lies in its image quality, and as you can see here, it's difficult to compare the footage from the two cameras. Both shots look very good on their own. There are two major differences between the shots from the two cameras. The first is quite obvious. This shot from the Luna Ultra was taken with the wide-angle main lens. With a 20mm focal length, this lens has a relatively wide field of view, but as you can see here, the X6 field of view is significantly wider. This naturally leads to distortion, but the extremely wide field of view allows you to capture a lot of the surrounding area. It's particularly well suited for action shots or shots where you want to include yourself in a landscape or during sports activities. The extremely wide field of view, on the other hand, isn't well suited for close-ups of people, since the distortion becomes particularly noticeable in these cases. Of course, you can crop a shot digitally to enlarge it. However, this results in reduced image quality and is only recommended up to a certain point. For the Luna Ultra, there's also an additional ultra-wide lens that you can attach magnetically to the main lens. The ultra-wide lens provides an even wider field of view, allowing you to capture a bit more of the landscape, even though the difference compared to the main lens isn't that significant. Here, you can see a comparison between a shot taken with the X6 and one taken with the Luna Ultra using the ultra-wide lens. And you can see just how extremely wide the X6 field of view is. A major strength of the Luna Ultra in this comparison is that it also features a second camera and a second 60mm lens. With a 60mm focal length, you cannot only get significantly closer to subjects, it is also well suited for portrait shots, that is close-ups of faces. You can take shots like these with the X6. But that's not all. The Luna Ultra offers a lossless 2x crop on both the main lens and the zoom lens. This enables a 120mm focal length without any significant loss of image quality. The Luna Ultra's maximum zoom is 12x. This means that purely in terms of focal length, the Luna Ultra offers significantly more possibilities and flexibility than the X6. On top of that, the Luna Ultra can also shoot in 8K. 8K that you don't have to reframe, so you get footage that you can crop quite heavily if needed. So the question is, do you prefer the very wide look, or do you need more flexibility with focal length? Aside from the focal length, there's another important difference between the shots from the two cameras. The X6 has a fixed focus set to infinity. That means everything is in focus and sharp, the person in the foreground as well as the landscape in the background. This works very well for action shots or shots where you want to show both the person and the landscape in the background at the same time. Everything is in focus, and even with fast movements, there are no issues with the autofocus. The Luna Ultra, on the other hand, uses a very good autofocus system. It focuses on the subject in the foreground. And because the Luna Ultra's main lens has a large 1-inch sensor and a very wide f1.8 aperture, it creates a relatively strong background blur. And that looks very soft, high quality and cinematic. This background blur effect is constantly used in professional movies and is also typical of larger, high-end cameras. That's why we perceive it as so cinematic. And it's precisely this look, which can also be achieved well with the 3x telephoto lens, that's a particular strength of the Luna Ultra. But you have to like it. And I know that many people prefer everything to be sharp and in focus, like on the X6. Personally, I like the background blur, and it looks especially good when shooting close-ups. But for sports or travel, it's also very useful when everything is in focus. After all, you want to see as much as possible in your recordings. The Luna Ultra's autofocus and zoom lens, combined with a relatively short minimum focusing distance, also allow for macro-like close-ups of subjects or people. These look great too. Personally, I like both. The wide-angle look of the X6, where everything is in focus, but also the cinematic, soft look with background blur for high-quality shots. I think you can already see where this is going. Both cameras have very different strengths and complement each other rather than serving as alternatives to one another. While the X6 is an outstanding action camera, the Luna Ultra is designed from the ground up to achieve optimal image quality. By the way, both cameras support iLok in 10-bit and Dolby Vision HDR. What do you prefer? A very wide field of view with everything in focus, like on the X6, or multiple focal lengths and background blur? For a 360 camera, the X6 takes very good shots in low light, but it can't quite keep up with the Luna Ultra, especially when it gets very dark. Under these conditions, the large sensor and the gimbal are simply a decisive advantage, since the Luna Ultra can reduce the shutter speed without causing stabilization issues. But especially when there's enough artificial light or it's not quite that dark yet, the X6 also takes very good shots. And the difference isn't that significant. The Luna Ultra really starts to stand out only when it gets very dark. The gimbal is a major advantage in low light. But how does it perform in good lighting conditions? When the lighting conditions are good, even the best gimbal can't compete with the electronic stabilization of a 360 camera. The extremely wide field of view is a decisive advantage when it comes to image stabilization. That's another reason why the X6 is such an outstanding action camera. On top of that, in the so-called Insta-frame mode, the X6 even has a gimbal mode that simulates how a gimbal works. This means that in this mode, the camera captures a flat, non-360 shot, while simulating camera movements of a gimbal. Similar to the Luna Ultra, there's a follow mode, an FPV mode, and so on. And we'll come back to this Insta-frame mode in a moment. The Luna Ultra's gimbal offers a very special feature. You can set the camera up anywhere and then have it track you or another subject completely automatically. That's cool and especially useful for solo creators. And since we're on the topic of solo creators and tracking, as you may know, you can easily detach the Luna Ultra screen and use it like a remote with a display. Of course, this also works in combination with the zoom lens. That means you can have the camera track you from a distance, start and stop recording, or even adjust all the camera settings. For me, this is one of the best features of the Luna Ultra. Here, for example, I mounted the Luna Ultra on a throw pod and then had it track me. By the way, the throw pod is one of the best accessories for both the Luna Ultra and the X6. There are also various remote controls available for the X6. And of course, you can connect both cameras to a smartphone if needed and then control them remotely. And you can also mount the X6 on a tripod, like the throw pod, to film and track yourself. You can shoot a 360 video and then track yourself in post. Or you can use the Insta-frame mode I just mentioned. Similar to the Luna Ultra, the camera locks onto a subject in Insta-frame mode and tracks it. However, the result isn't a 360 video, but rather a reframed flat clip. This means you don't have to edit the footage anymore. You can simply set up the X6 somewhere let it track you, and you'll get a reframed flat clip in 4K right away. Extremely useful, but of course the result isn't comparable in every respect. The main difference between the two cameras lies simply in the image quality, the different zoom factors, and the distinct look created by a blurred background. In a direct comparison, there are a number of other differences as well. For example, only the X6 features voice control, gesture control, or the new AI director, which at the end of the day while charging, automatically creates a sort of daily vlog from the best shots of the day. And then, of course, there's the topic of photos. Naturally, there are similar differences here regarding focal length and background blur. For example, only the Luna Ultra lets you take good portrait photos and close-ups with a beautiful background blur, as shown in this example here. On the other hand, 360 cameras are often used for 360 photos for virtual tours. And the X6 takes excellent 360 photos with up to 120 megapixels. Interestingly, the Luna Ultra can take 360 photos as well. It's not quite as fast, but it's possible. The camera takes photos in all directions and then stitches them together into a 360 photo. This means that in photo mode, you can achieve a result similar to that of a dedicated 360 camera. In other words, the Luna Ultra is also suitable for taking 360 photos, for example for virtual tours. But when it comes to virtual tours in particular, the X6 has a very special feature, 3D spatial capture. You can create a fully virtual walkable model from a 360 shot. So it's not just a photo where you can look around, but a model where you can move around freely. This, of course, takes virtual tours to a whole new level. Unfortunately, the feature isn't currently available in the US yet due to technical reasons. Personally, I really like both cameras. They're both examples of very well-designed devices. However, neither of them is exactly cheap. The Insta360 Luna Ultra costs $770 in the US and 730 euros in Europe. The X6 costs $699 in the US and 699 euros in Europe. So they're both priced similarly. You'll find links to both cameras in the video description. And only if you use these links will you receive an exclusive free gift with either camera. For the X6, this is a dual lens kit that lets you replace 2 damaged lenses yourself. For the Luna Ultra, it's currently the extremely useful throw part, but these offers are always time limited, so you should hurry if you're interested. So which of the 2 cameras should you buy? Which is the better choice for you? The answer is relatively clear to me. If you're into sports, travel a lot, and are looking for a camera that's rugged and waterproof, and that you can also use well for vlogging, then go with the X6, especially if you like the ultra-wide angle look. The X6 is also great for particularly creative shots. For me, it's one of the best cameras you can buy right now. If the rugged and waterproof body isn't that important to you, and you're looking for a higher end, more cinematic and professional look, or want more flexibility with focal lengths, then go for the Luna Ultra. Of course, the Luna Ultra is also excellent for vlogging and if you want to film yourself frequently. Unlike the X6, the Luna Ultra is also very well suited, for example, as the main camera for a YouTube channel to shoot talking headshots. But as I said, I think both cameras complement each other well and it's fantastic to have both. If you're still undecided, you'll find a few files available for download in the download folder for my premium content channel members, so you can compare the original recordings for yourself on your own screen. Give me a like as feedback if you found this video interesting. You can already find a detailed comparison between the X6, the X5 and the Osmo 360 on my channel. Check it out if you're interested. There will be more videos coming up on the Luna Ultra and the X6. So stay tuned and see you next time.